afternoon, everybody. Happy Monday. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. Happy beginning of the week. Well, we sprang ahead. It was a little dark this morning, I have to admit, but, I'm okay with that because last night, even though it was 6:30 p.m., the sun was still up, and that was a beautiful thing. Tonight, 8 o'clock Central Time, via the subscription service on my website, we're having an introduction to longevity webinar. 8 o'clock Central Time goes from 8 to 9. We start at 8:05 and we end at 9 on the dot. And this Thursday night, the webinar all about kidney health. Everything that your medical doctor forgot to tell you, everything that you wanted to know about kidney health. Tonight, Introduction to Longevity, hosted by yours truly, Dr. Peter Glidden. See me live. See me in action. Bring your family, bring your friends, bring your enemies. Bring anybody in your life who you feel is a candidate for the longevity business opportunity or the longevity health opportunity. We are going to be doing it in style tonight. We're topping out, we're, maxing out our web room participation. We can only handle 100 people at a time right now unless we do a special hocus pocus like we did a month ago. We're going to have another free webinar. It's probably going to be next Monday night, although don't quote me on that. We do one free webinar every month. That's going to be coming up shortly. But tonight, you got to have a subscription to check it out, or you have to be invited by someone who has a subscription to check it out. We're going to have a lot of fun. We always do. It's an international presence. We've got people from all over the world attending the webinar because you know what? Human suffering knows no borders, knows no race, knows no creed, knows no age. And so we're taking this international, ladies and gentlemen, as much as we can. As fast as we can, as big as we can. Go big or go home. That's my motto. Go big or go home. So that's the deal. Tonight at 8 o'clock Central and this Thursday night at 8 o'clock Central. This Thursday, the kidney health webinar, and tonight, introduction to longevity. 8 o'clock sharp Central Time. Check it out. And if you'd like to get information about how to secure a subscription so that you can watch the webinars, I've got 4 live web events a week. 4 live web events a week. Just go to fireyourmdnow.com. That's fireyourmdnow.com. Or just do a Google search for Dr. Peter Glidden. Dr. Peter Glidden, I always come up number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. I'm the only guy on the Google page when you Google Dr. Peter Glidden. We've got a big presence thanks to all of my longevity supporters all around the world. So, I'd really just kind of like to pause, take a breath, and again, put stuff in perspective for the listening audience. By the way, 866-582 9933, 866-582-9933 is the number to call to talk to me live on today's program. And 855-347-3696. That's 855-347-3696 is the number to call for information about the health opportunity, the business opportunity, or how you can purchase the nutritional supplements we talk about at the wholesale price by speaking to an actually alive, living and breathing American, not somebody in India or South Africa. These are longevity representatives living right here who speak the same language. English is their first language. Most of them, it's our only language. Some of us speak Canadian. We do speak Canadian, so we're all good there. 855-347-3696. And look out, America, the Canadian group, the Canadian Longevity Group is growing like a weed on a summer's day after a rainstorm. They're going to be a hard group to catch. They're doing such a fantastic job up there in Calgary. My hat goes off to Corey Prop and all of the people in his downline, everybody, Matt Tokoff down here in the States. Carl and Fabulous Four Corners, everybody that's involved in this organization. I just have so much respect for everybody that's forwarding our message to whomever will listen to it. You have to have somewhat of a thick skin to be the first people through the door, right? I mean, it's the first people through the door of any new movement that get bloodied. It's always the first people through the door. Well, we are the first people through the door. Even though the naturopathic medical profession has existed for hundreds of years, it's really only now just coming into its own. It's really only now just establishing a political presence. And it is still the most misunderstood system of medicine in the world, even amongst people who are in charge of naturopathic medicine. This is one of, again, life's greatest ironies here. It seems life is filled with ironies. We talk about ironies a lot here on Fire Your MD now, not because we want to, but just because we point out the way that things are. And ironic situations seem to be the name of the game. The naturopathic medical profession is listing hard in the direction of integrative medicine, which means the naturopathic medical schools are beginning to train naturopathic physicians not to be primary caregivers, but to deliver adjunctive therapies for MDs. And quite frankly, I'm going to do an expose on this sometime this spring. There's a lot of datum to collect here, a lot of people to interview, but I'd really like to flesh this out and flush this bird out from the cover that it's hiding in, because I believe that the naturopathic profession is in danger of becoming so generic, so white bread, so watered down that the naturopathic profession will basically have lost all of its philosophical integrity within the next 20 years if we're not careful. I'm not sure who's behind this nonsense, but I'm going to get to the bottom of it, and I'm going to flush it out right here, live, on Fire Your MD now, so stay tuned, folks. You know, our basic premise here is that medicine is a vast arena of knowledge, and that nobody is trained in medicine, although the MDs will argue that they are, in fact, the exclusive gatekeepers of all things medical, that they are the only go-to people for all things medical, and hence the name alternative medicine. Well, I've got news for you. I do not practice alternative medicine. I practice naturopathic medicine. The only people that call it alternative are the allopathic MDs. The people who are driving this bus of medicine, who've kept me and my colleagues off of the bus for the last 100 years, now want to drive their bus onto the pasture that we've been tending diligently, the holistic pasture that we've been tending diligently for the last 1,000 years, and they want to claim exclusive ownership of that pasture by forwarding a ridiculous concept known as integrative medicine. Integrative medicine is the aspect of medicine where MDs learn ostensibly learn holistic medical therapeutics, so they'll do continuing education class to learn about chelation therapy or vitamin therapy or this, that, or the other thing. And this is a growing trend in the United States. There are a couple of academic institutions that teach integrative medicine, or institutions. They're not accredited academic institutions, but there are well-respected postgraduate, there are organizations around the country which are very well-respected, who teach medical doctors and nurse practitioners the nuts and bolts of something called integrative medicine, you know, how to use vitamins and how to use herbs. And it's growing rapidly. I mean, I used to go to integrative conferences when I was in medical school just to see how the other half lived. And, you know, maybe there'd be 10, 20 medical doctors attending class. Now they're in the hundreds. And it's growing rapidly. Why is it growing rapidly? Because MDs aren't stupid. They know that the therapeutics that they're delivering, the therapeutics that they're trained in, are completely useless in the treatment of chronic disease. They know this. They know that they're the leading cause of death in the United States. But, you know, they don't see any way out of it because they've drunk their own Kool-Aid. They are of the opinion that their you-know-what doesn't stink, and that they are, in fact, the exclusive gatekeepers of medicine, that they are responsible for all things having to do with medical science, and that everybody else, the chiropractors, the homeopaths, the naturopaths, the herbalists, the Ayurvedic practitioners, everybody else is a back-of-the-bus alternative quack. This is what they actually believe. And so, they'll take courses in integrative medicine and just basically deliver watered down holistic therapeutics, which are neither holistic nor allopathic. It's some gray area in the middle. You get ridiculous therapies like intravenous chelation, which I used to do. I used to be an advocate of intravenous chelation. I stopped because it doesn't work. But, they'll do massive doses of vitamin C, massive doses of vitamin D, and so forth, and then, go to bed at night thinking that they're helping medicine progress. When, in point of fact, the best possible thing that a medical doctor could do to help medicine progress is quit, or become an emergency room doctor or a military field medicine. The medical system does not need to be tweaked. It does not need to be cleaned up. We don't need to broker better deals between Medicare and Medicaid and Big Pharma. We don't need to streamline medical insurance costs. We don't need to have the government, help people pay for medical insurance. We don't need to help hospitals and nurses and doctors have less paperwork and run their businesses more efficiently. What we need to do is abandon the system. The system doesn't need to be tweaked. The system needs to be abandoned. MD-directed, reductionistic, allopathic, pharmaceutical-centrist medical treatments for chronic disease don't work. They just do not work, period. They don't. The numbers are in. While the MDs are driving the bus of medicine, MD-directed medical treatments are the leading cause of death in the United States, the leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States. Under their care, Alzheimer's has risen from obscurity to the sixth leading cause of death. Autism is skyrocketing, obesity is skyrocketing, and our life expectancies have flatlined. They stink at what they do. And we need to abandon their way and adopt a different way, the holistic way. As talked about in the naturopathic community, the old-fashioned naturopaths, not the new-fashioned naturopaths. Dialing it in here at the top of a week, the human body is an incredibly complex system of interrelated parts, but the MD philosophy, because it's based on Newtonian physics, has thrown the baby out with the bathwater, because Newtonian physics argues if you cannot measure it, it doesn't exist. Since nobody has ever dissected the soul out of a human body, the soul does not exist. And to the medical doctor, consciousness, your consciousness, is a function of biochemistry. And that as soon as your body dies, everything stops, you cease to exist. There's no such thing as heaven, there's no such thing as hell, there's no such thing as reincarnation, there's no such thing as life after the body, because everything that goes on here is 100% generated through biochemistry. This is what your psychiatrist thinks. Your consciousness is a function of biochemistry. And since nobody has ever dissected the soul out of the human being, the soul doesn't exist. And if the soul doesn't exist, it therefore can have nothing at all to do with the functionality of the human body, right? Because it doesn't exist. This is the greatest mistake that MDs have made. And this philosophical underpinning that the human body is just basically a biochemical soup of coincidence, a coincidental amalgamation of biochemistry that started in some antediluvian swamp somewhere, sparked by a bolt of electricity from, a passing thunderhead, is the basic philosophical stance from which all of their therapeutics spring. So no wonder their therapeutics can't help us recover our health, because they're based on a philosophy which is false. If your astronomer if astronomers thought that the Earth was flat, then all of their conclusions about navigating the globe would be wrong, and ships would get wrecked and planes would get wrecked all of the time, because the navigational stuff that they have cooked into the books is wrong. It's built on an assumption which is beforehand incorrect. And this is how it is with medicine. This is how it is with medical doctors. Their philosophy of disease, the pathogenesis of disease, is incorrect. And they are completely unable, it is impossible, by virtue of their false philosophical understanding, for an MD to fix anything. They cannot do it. They can sew an artery together, right? That's pretty reductionistic. They can pull a bullet out of an arm, and they've developed surgical techniques that are pretty awesome. But this, again, is the epitome of reductionism. This is what we should expect them to excel in, and they do. But for everything that has to do with everything else, their therapeutics not only fail us, but they're the leading cause of death. And they're the leading cause of death not because they're sadistic, knuckleheads, out for blood. It's because they're cowards. Their philosophy of healing is incorrect a priori, but they're too cowardly to criticize it. They're too cowardly to say, look, the emperor has no clothes. They can't do it. They won't do it. They've invested too much time and money into their nonsense, and they're never going to give up their point of view. They're never, ever, ever going to give up their point of view. Hence the old maxim that medicine progresses one funeral at a time. Which means in order for the information that my profession, and especially Dr. Wallach, brings to the table, in order for the information that Dr. Wallach brings to the table to become common sense, it's going to take 100 years. We're the first people who are forwarding the notion that, the majority of chronic diseases are caused by nutrient deficiencies. Now, your medical doctor would think that that's hogwash. The same way that they thought Dr. Semmelweis was hogwash when he said that you have to wash your hands before you go into surgery. They disbarred the guy. They didn't disbar the guy. He wasn't a lawyer. They threw him out of the medical practice. He lost all his standing, all his prestige in his community. He was humiliated by his comrades, his colleagues, his medical colleagues, for forwarding a new idea. This is what the MDs are good at. They're good at holding on to old ideas, even though they don't work. They are intellectual and social cowards, and they should be avoided unless, of course, you're unfortunate enough to have to go to the emergency room with a bullet in your arm or a fourth-degree burn or a triple compound fracture of your leg. That's their wheelhouse. But as God is my witness, for everything else, for all of the stuff that most people go to the doctor for, high blood pressure, arthritis, type 2 diabetes, insomnia, heartburn, anxiety and panic attacks, depression, type 2 diabetes, ADD, ADHD, infertility, the hot flushes of menopause, menstrual cramps, all of this stuff, the last person you want to bring your body to is anybody with an MD after their name, and the first thing you want to do is hook yourself up with good, new-fashioned medical nutrition. By the way, science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. And we're going to shuffle on off to Texas right now, talk to Scott. Hey, Scott, thanks for calling. You are live.
Hey, Dr. Glidden, thank you for taking my call.
Yeah.
Long story short, got a tattoo back in 1995. Through all courses of blood work later on, found out that I developed hepatitis C through a tattoo. Started a treatment. I can't remember what I took, but the doctor said that it fixed me. Come to find out, it did.
Right.
So what I'm doing right now is I'm on the 90 for life. I'm not taking as much as I'd probably need to do just to financial strains or whatever, but I am taking 4 bottles of selenium a month. The Hepal, I'm juicing beets and carrots and as much the garlic and things like that as I can do. I've been doing that for about a month now, and I was just wondering is there anything else that I could do?
Well, yeah, there's a lot. This is hepatitis C like Charlie, right?
C like Charlie, yes.
All right, so just for the listening audience, there's 3 types of hepatitis. Well, there's a number of different types, but there's 3 types of hepatitis viruses that people can get: hepatitis A, hepatitis B, and hepatitis C. Hepatitis A and B are usually acute illnesses, and you can recover from them without any medical treatment whatsoever. Hepatitis C, however, is a chronic condition in the liver, and if it's an inflammation and an infection of the liver. However, hepatitis C has documented cases of spontaneous remission where for no reason whatsoever, no known reason, there's got to be a reason, but the virus, it's there on Monday and it's gone on Tuesday and it never comes back. Now, it's rare that happens, but it happens. So this, argues that, well, if what one man can do, another man can do. What one woman can do, another woman can do. So from our point of view, when faced with an infection of hepatitis C, which of course affects the liver, the recommendation is to support and promote the structure and function of the liver. Now, in this regard, we are in good company because Dr. Wallach is an expert in this. I've met a woman who had a sclerosing cholangitis, which is a really bad liver condition. Her liver was shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, and she'd had over 20 operations, 20 surgical procedures to her liver to keep her alive. When she met Wallach, her liver was the size of an Oreo cookie, and she was waiting for a liver transplant. Long story short, she went on board his program, and within a year, the liver had completely grown back to normal. So the liver has a remarkable ability to fix itself. You can cut out over 70% of it, and it'll grow back, right? And the process of the liver growing itself back is called hepatoneogenesis, which is fancy schmancy doctor talk for your liver grows itself back. So the best thing to do, well, if you're on a budget, one of the things that's been documented best to help the liver generate new liver cells is beet juice, fresh squeezed beet juice. So if you're juicing, I would be leaning heavily on juicing fresh beets. So you want to just go to the grocery store, go to the farmer's market, get some beets, take the greens off of them, don't cook the beets, slice the beets up and put them in the juicer raw, the root of the beet, the red root. Now, you got to be careful, because if you do too much beet juice, you can pass out because your liver will just dump a lot of crap. You'll have kind of what's correctly in this case referred to as a healing crisis, a healing reaction. Too much beet juice all at once is going to make you feel not that great, and we want to avoid that because healing should be easy, slow and easy. And also, when you're juicing red beets regularly, your pee's going to turn red and your poop's going to turn red, and you'll think for sure you're bleeding. And you'll freak right out, and you'll think that you have internal bleeding, and you'll go to the doctors. They'll do $1,000 worth of testing, and then there's nothing wrong. So just remember that when you're juicing with beets, your pee's eventually going to turn red, and your poop's eventually going to turn red, and that's okay. Now, nobody knows what the appropriate dosage here is to support and promote the structure and function of the liver. I would start with 1 ounce of beet juice a day, and I would go up until you're doing 3, 4, 5. I do 3 ounces of fresh squeezed beet juice 3 times a day, and feel free to mix it with other fresh squeezed juice. And one of my favorite all-around recipes, taste-wise and health-wise, is beets, green apples, and carrots. Carrots, green apples, and beets. It makes a fantastic tasting drink. I would do at least 3 ounces of fresh squeezed beet juice 3 times a day. You might need to work up to that. 1 ounce 3 times a day for 5 or 6 days, then 2 ounces 3 times a day, and then 3 ounces 3 times a day. The only problem with fresh squeezed vegetable or fruit juice is you have to drink it within, 15 to 30 minutes after you make it. So you can't make a big quart bottle of it and stick it in the fridge and drink from it all day long. And the stuff that you get at the supermarket that's already, the fresh squeezed vegetable juice in the bottle, that's all of the good stuff is oxidized out after 30 minutes. So regretfully, you got to make it and drink it and make it and drink it and make it and drink it like that, right? Now, I don't know what your life is like, but if you can handle that 3 times a day, then that's what I would do. Now, notwithstanding that, the next most important thing for you is the selenium. And with a diagnosis of chronic hepatitis C, like Charlie, if it were me, I would do 4 bottles of selenium a month to support and promote the health and function of my liver. I would do 4 capsules of selenium 3 times a day, and I would take them either between meals or with food that doesn't have rice, beans, or nuts in it. No rice, no beans, no nuts, and no spinach, because those foods contain something called a phytate, P-H-Y, T like Thomas, A, T like Thomas, E, phytate. Foods that contain phytates will bind to minerals. Selenium is a mineral. And so if you throw down a couple of selenium capsules and have a spinach salad or rice and beans or some peanuts or peanut butter on gluten-free bread, you're not going to get as much kick from the selenium because the phytates in those foods will bind to the selenium before it gets into your gut, and that's not a good thing. So if you're taking the selenium supplement or other mineral supplements, do it between meals or with a meal that doesn't have any phytates in it. You can do a quick Google search to figure out which foods have phytates in it. Again, that's PHY, T like Thomas, A, T like Thomas, E, phytates. All right? So it'll be a minimum of 12 ultimate selenium caps a day. You don't need to do the hep ball. If you're going to be doing the beet juice, you don't need to do the hep ball. The next thing I would take is the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. So when you can afford it, do the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. And if that's outside of the budget zone, then get 1 bottle of the plant-derived minerals. 1 bottle of the plant-derived minerals. It's only $19. I mean, you could stop the hep ball and take the plant-derived minerals, and you'd be ahead a couple of bucks. So that's what I would do. I would do the beet juice, the selenium, the plant-derived minerals, and then the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. And the recommendation for the Beyond Tangy is 1 bottle per 100, 1 canister, it's a canister, 1 canister per 100 pounds of body weight per month. Now, in my perfect world, here's what you would do. If money was not an option and not an obstacle, here's what I would do. 1 anti-aging healthy start pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month. 4 bottles of Ultimate Selenium a month. 1 bottle of Ultimate Daily capsules a month. And 4 bottles of Z-Radical a month. That's what I would do, in addition to the beet juice, 3 ounces 3 times a day. So now look, there's another thing we don't want to overlook the obvious here, right, man? So while we're, focusing here on pouring nutrients into the body, nutrifying the body, making the body healthier with its raw materials that it needs, the 90 essential nutrients, you have to identify foods that are harmful to the body and stop eating them. You have to do that. If you don't do that, you might as well just go outside and spit into the wind. It's because this program will not work unless you clean your diet up. So go to my website, fireyourmdnow.com. Sign up for my free newsletter. It's free. We don't sell the emails either. And as soon as you click on the submit button, you're going to get directed to a page that has a list of good food, bad food. And there are 10 foods that we've identified as bad for you, so eliminate those foods from your diet if you haven't already. If you have already, you're the smartest man in class. Do the beet juice. Add any juice that you want to make it taste good. By the way, you don't have to do carrot and apple and beet. You can do whatever you want as long as it tastes good to you, as long as you've got the beet juice in there, okay? The selenium, the plant-derived minerals, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, and then when you can afford it, go crazy with the program that I outlined. Now, last thing I want to tell you, Scott. If money is an obstacle, become a Longevity member for $10. Join us for $10. It takes $10. There's 2 levels of membership commitment. There's a $10 level and there's a $500 level. Well, at the $10 level, you're still going to get paid, and you can still make quite a deal of money in the Longevity organization by spreading our message of health recovery through medical nutrition to anybody who will listen, and we will teach you how to do it. It's $10. I met a kid I just had on my radio show a couple of weeks ago, a little girl. She's 7 years old. She's making a couple of hundred. She's getting her supplements for free every month, a couple of $100 worth of supplements. She's 7 years old. She did it, with her mother's help, of course, by telling everybody in her life about the wonders of Dr. Wallach's stuff. And so you can do it too. Texas is a big state. There's a lot of sick people in Texas. And it is my experience. Texas, of course, is a rather conservative state. I would rather pitch this message to a conservative audience than a liberal audience. Because the conservative mindset, once people who think conservatively understand something in their head, even if it's not mainstream, their intention is to take action on it. And liberal audiences are the opposite. Liberals will think and rethink and rethink and rethink, and then they'll forget what it was they were thinking about. I know, because I am a liberal. In my political leanings, well, I'm halfway between liberal and conservative, but, I was brought up liberal, and that's kind of, so I know. I've been in both worlds. I've seen it. I've lectured to liberal audiences. I've lectured to conservative audiences. I'm telling you, Texas is ripe for the picking as far as having a whole population of people there ready, willing, and able to take action on a science-based, clinically verified strategy to support and promote the health of their body, support and promote the ability of their body to fix itself. So join us up, man. Join us up. Talk to the person who interested you in longevity. Talk to the person who hooked you up. And, if you heard about it on the radio show, just sign up through my website. Go to fireyourmdnow.com, click on the longevity button, sign up for $10, and then we'll get in touch with you and hold your hand and show you how to do this, because nothing stinks more than not having enough money in the bank. Let me tell you, been there, done that. It's no fun. We can help you with your health. We can also help you with your wealth. Throw down $10 and let us show you how to do it. Ida, thanks for calling. You are live.
Thanks so much for taking my call. First off, thank you to you and Dr. Walt. What I didn't know, and it sure cost me a lot of money and pain over the last couple of years, but here we are. All roads lead to good things eventually, I'd say. And the thing I wanted to ask you about today was I was diagnosed in late 2011 with leaky gut syndrome. This was a kind of a delayed reaction to a bunch of antibiotic overusage for various other things.
Yeah.
The lucky part about it was there is an MD in our area who's one of those rare oddballs who doesn't treat things with drugs or surgery first. He used more of a holistic supplement approach.
Yeah.
And I have a question about the digestive enzymes with longevity, because I take ones that they have recommended for me for a bunch of times now. And when I asked the last time I went there for an appointment, I was like, this is something I have to stay on for the rest of my life, and they said pretty much yes. And I just want to know if you knew if anybody who had any experience with the longevity digestive enzymes, because to be quite honest, it would be better for my budget overall to use yours versus the other, localized ones that I'm getting.
Okay, well, so, I do. And also, can you turn the computer down or turn the volume off, because we're getting feedback? All right, that's better. You still with me?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, great. Yeah, so I have a lot of experience with it, and, I don't want to bash a stranger, but I will. For goodness sake, getting advice about medical nutrition from anybody but a naturopath or, honestly, a chiropractor is a bad idea, because these guys have no training in it, and the integrative medical training that they do is juvenile. It really is. It's just not a good idea, right? And the problem here is that the medical doctors think that they own the world, and they think that they can do anything, and then they can't. And it's a problem. So, eating Mexican food in a 500-year-old restaurant in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, is quite a bit different from eating Mexican food at a Taco Bell in the U.S., right? Because Taco Bell Mexican food is watered-down Mexican-American. I don't even know what it is anymore, but it ain't Mexican food. So I'm telling you, there's a big, big, big difference. And again, I can't let this one slip through the cracks. He might be a really nice guy, might have all the best intentions in the world, but if he really wanted to learn holistic therapeutics, he should have gone to naturopathic medical school and gotten his naturopathic degree. There's a lot of people that have double, triple degrees, right? They're PhDs, they're DCs, they're MDs, they're JDs, I went to school with a couple of MDs who were getting their naturopathic medical degree. So if he wants to mess around on this pasture, then he should do it appropriately, not do it through the back door, number one. Number two, leaky gut is an interesting term to talk about. And when one person says leaky gut, when one medical professional says leaky gut, they mean something different than another medical professional who says leaky gut, because it is a loosely ill-defined diagnostic term. What it means, generally speaking, is that there's been a facultative breakdown in the integrity of the small intestine. And the small intestine is the border between the inside and the outside of the body. It's the small intestine's job, the tissue in the small intestine, to extract nutrients from the digestive tract and pull it into the bloodstream. Stuff enters the bloodstream through the digestive tract, through the small intestine. That's its job. And so when things damage the wall of the small intestine microscopically, that's referred to as a leaky gut, and all kinds of things can sneak into the bloodstream that shouldn't ought to be there, and this can cause a boatload of trouble downstream. You know, it's just like the illegal, immigrants, the illegal aliens sneaking across the Rio Grande. It's jumping the border fence, and now they're in the country illegally, right? Well, the same thing happens with food and pesticides and all kinds of stuff when the integrity of the intestinal tract has been compromised. So our fix for this is one healthy digestion pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month. That contains the probiotics and the digestive enzymes that you need. So really, the only thing that I would recommend you do here, Peter from Wisconsin, is one healthy digestion pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month, and eliminate the 10 bad foods. Eliminate the 10 bad foods. Become a Longevity member, and we'll even help you pay for it. And that beats a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. Thanks for the call, Peter. Check it out. You can also do the root beer belly if you want as an add-on for about 4 weeks. The root beer belly, that's our brand new probiotic, which will help the gut to heal faster. Check it out.